guys, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Valentina and I'm so excited to have you here with me today. And today's video is really special because, as you saw in the title, we're going to talk about books. I love reading. For the longest time I've been obsessed with books. Honestly, since I was a little kid, I love reading. My parents would always read to me. They would always buy me books for me to read, and I love getting lost in a good story. But today we're not going to talk about stories. We're going to talk about non-fiction books that have taught me so much and that I feel like have really changed my life, or at least have a big impact in my life. For the longest time I did not like non-fiction books. I did not like self-help books, but once I got into them, I just feel like I've learned so much. So I just wanted to share those books with you. I also want to say I typically read on Kindle, especially for fiction novels, but somehow all the books I want to talk about today, I have them right here in physics, and that makes me so happy. But before we get started, I just want to remind you to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and like this video if you also love books as much as I do. And now let's get started. So I don't have any specific orders for this book. I will just talk a little bit about all of them. So let's start with the one book that I'm sure it's not in most lists when people talk about their top books, but it should be. And it's this book. It's called Hello Fears, and I absolutely love it for so many reasons. First, it is so beautiful on the inside. I love a good design. Like, it is a really beautiful book. It is really dynamic, like you can write things on the book. But most importantly, it talks about how you overcome your fears. So the author, Michelle Poler, she is Venezuelan like me, so that's how I already followed her, and she wrote this book. And she talks about, like, apparently we have a really similar personality in the sense of, like, we were really fearful of everything. We were scared of trying new things and living experiences and just living life. And she talks about, like, how she overcame this by doing 100 things she feared for 100 days. So that's not in here, that's in her YouTube channel, I think. But she does talk about some of the things she did and, like, her experience overcoming these fears, and how you can also be stronger than your fears and just face your fears, because that's what makes you brave. Being fearless is not being brave. Having fears and facing them, that's what makes you brave. And I love this book so much, and I actually want to reread it. And I love this book, and I can't stop recommending it. It's not new. It's been like 2+ years in the market, but it's really good. Then book number 2 is probably the one that I finished. It's the last one I've read from this, and I love it. Really small book, really cute book, perfect coffee table book. But on the inside, I've read about hygge, like this Danish concept of happiness, and like how enjoying the small day-to-day things and including these things in your day-to-day life, in your routine, can make you a happy person. And I've heard about it before, and I've read about it before, and I've watched videos about it before, but this book explains it so well. It talks to you about what hygge is, and I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. I'm sure not, but I'm doing my best. And it explains, like, ways to implement hygge in your life and have hygge moments. And this book was written by the CEO of the Happiness Research Institute in Copenhagen. So they research happiness. This is happiness in a book. It is perfect. I've implemented so many of these things in my life. There were some that I was already implemented without knowing it's part of the hygge concept, and I really enjoyed reading this book. Again, it's a really graphic book, really short text, really easy to read. You can read a couple of pages a day, but still I think it's really worth it. And actually the book itself is really hygge, so I really recommend this if you're looking for, you know, enjoying more your day-to-day life and enjoying the small moments. Let's talk about this book. You've probably heard of it. If you haven't read it, please read it. It is Atomic Habits, and I heard about this book so many times until I finally decided to purchase it, and I do not regret it. I usually don't highlight books, and oh, I found photos of my book. What's this? Oh, from my trip to Barcelona, some YouTube moments, UCLA graduation. Oh, this is cute. Okay, well, anyways, the book. As I was saying, I usually don't highlight books, but this one had so many things that I felt like were necessary to remember, and it is the type of books I would love to reread. I truly believe in routines. I truly believe in creating habits that you repeat every single day, and that those habits make who you are, create the person who you are, and even shape your future and your whole life. So this is really good for, again, if you're trying to implement different habits in your life, to understand how the creation of new habits work and how to maintain maintain those habits in the long term. Honestly, one of my very, very favorite books. And again, I think I'll reread it this year again. I read it for the first time beginning of 2021 or even 2020. No, 2021. And I am so ready to read it again because I learned so much from this book, and it's again the type of book you want to read over and over again. So that's why I have a physical copy of it. Another really small book. This is The 5 Love Languages: The Secret to Love That Lasts. And this is the type of book that 10 years ago, like my 19-20-year-old self would be like, what? Why? This is so self-helpy. Don't read that. Very useful though. Understanding your love language is so important, not only for like romantic relationships, but for life. Like knowing what you want in life and how you interpret other people's love, it's so important. And I love this book. It's really easy to read. It is really short. You can take the test here to see what your love language is. You can have your partner read it as well. I haven't done that. Greg should read it. He's really good at speaking my love language, but you know, it's still really good. I feel like there's a lot of things that are really obvious. My camera ran out of battery, so I don't know what I was saying. Anyways, really good book to share with your partner as well. And I truly enjoyed it. It's, again, it has some really obvious lessons, I would say, but it also has a lot of things that you can keep in mind to improve your relationships and even to get to know yourself a little better. I would say this one's in the lighter side. Like, it's a light book. On the other hand, this is not as light, but it is really good. This is Digital Minimalism. I'm not a minimalist. I have, I guess, habits, and there's some things in my life that I treat as if I was a minimalist, but I'm not. I just like some principles of it, and I applied some of them to my life. And I heard about this book. Again, it is Digital Minimalism: Choosing a Focused Life in a Noisy World. It is so good. It talks a lot. It's very Facebook oriented, but you can apply all the learnings for any social media, for your phone, for texting, for emails even. It talks about everything and anything digital and how to have a more meaningful and mindful life in this crazy world that we live in, that it has obviously become very digital, and kind of how to leave these digital world on the side to focus on what's real. And again, I love my digital world as well. You are my digital world. But at the same time, I think we need to have a balance, and we are losing that balance. Really good book if you are trying to create more balance in your life between the real world and the digital world. Again, it's a little bit harder to read. This is only text. It's just a regular book. Generally speaking, I think it's definitely worth to read. And my last book, I would say it's my top one. If the other ones don't have a specific order, this is my top one. And this is the book I tell everyone they should read. And it might be a little cliche, but it's cliche for a reason, and it is The Power of Now. This is such a self-help, like classic self-help book. And again, 19, 20, 21 years old me would be really disappointed, but I learned so much from this book. And I don't think there's anything wrong with self-help anymore. It's just something I've changed my mind about, and I'm glad I did, because I learned so much from this book. I read it in a moment when I really needed it, when I needed to take a break from so many things in my life and to stay more present and live in the now instead of worrying about the future or thinking about the past and what things could have been if they were different, and just again focusing on what is right now, because the present is the only real thing we have, is the only thing we have. Like, this moment is it. The past is gone forever, and the future, we don't know what holds for us, and doesn't exist right now. So if I had to say just grab one of all the ones I recommended, is this one. They're all really worth it, but The Power of Now is really just an amazing book. It's really good for reflecting. I really recommend, which is what I did, having a notebook right next to you when you're reading this to take notes and reflect and write about your thoughts about the things you're reading. It's not a book that you read in like a day. I don't think that will work. I think you should take a few days to read this book, but it's definitely worth it, and it really makes you think about your life and see things under a different perspective, which is really great. So yes, those are some of the books that have changed my life. If you want to see more videos about books, like maybe nonfiction books that have changed my life, or a second part of this video, leave it in the comments below and like this video, and I will gladly work on that video as well, because again, I love books, but making videos about books is hard. You really have to have a specific audience. So if you are that audience, please support this video so I can keep creating content like this, which I absolutely love. And yeah, that's gonna be it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!